Hello everyone, I chose to do my presentation on Chandler Bing from Friends. So I analyzed him using concepts from developmental psychology, and I really focused on how his upbringing shaped who he became later on as an adult. I used to watch this with my mom when I was younger, and I hated it, but once I got older, I think I found humor, and I think I found it funny, and I think Chandler is my favorite. Him and Joey, it's like close, but most definitely Chandler. So meet Chandler Bing. His full name is Chandler Muriel Bing, and he's known for his sarcasm, his awkwardness, and emotional walls. I think that's why I like him, because he always knew how to break such an awkward situation. Like, he would say like a funny joke, or just he really found humor in any bad situation. So he's one of the six main characters in Friends, and I think his story is humorous and complex. He was shaped by a turbulent upbringing and emotional struggles. He is known for his quick wit and sarcasm, but beneath that humor lies a complex emotional journey shaped by his early life experiences. Childhood and adolescence. So Chandler was raised in a dysfunctional household. His parents divorced when he was 9 years old. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure his dad cheated on his mom with the maid or the butler. I don't know what he was, but his dad becomes a drag performer in Las Vegas, and his mom was an over-the-top romance novelist. So Chandler grew up, I would say, in a very, very wealthy but emotional, neglectful home. His parents' dramatic lives made him feel embarrassed and really insecure, so I think that really contributed to his lifelong emotional struggles. Humor as a shield. He uses sarcasm to deflect vulnerability. He avoids serious emotional conversations, and he struggles with self-esteem and trust. So Chandler often hides behind humor, using it as a defense mechanism to protect himself from rejection or emotional exposure. Young adulthood. Intimacy versus isolation. Chandler avoids intimacy early in the series, fear of commitment, emotional avoidance, growth through a relationship with Monica, and he achieves intimacy and starts a family. So according to Erikson, there are 8 stages across the lifespan. One of the stages is the young adulthood stage, which is intimacy versus isolation, where young adults really strive for deep connections. And I think Chandler's journey from avoidance to intimacy aligns with this theory. Early on in the series, he was very, very careful. Not very careful, but he longed to be loved and accepted, like for who he was. And he really didn't like to show vulnerability. So when it came to women, he would date them and then be like, oh, this is getting really serious. So he would find just anything to avoid getting serious or committing. And I'm pretty sure in one of the episodes he stops dating a girl because she has big nostrils. And in another episode, he stops talking to a girl because she got eye goop, which is basically from her mascara, and he didn't like that. But I think it all just like very, very, it's like a conscious thing. Like, I'm going to say this is wrong with her because I'm afraid of commitment. But later on in the series, he finds true love with Monica, and they start a family. I think, they adopt 2 kids. Well, it was originally going to be 1, but it ended up being twins. Piaget's formal operational stage. So Piaget believed that adults develop strong cognitive reasoning skills and should show abstract logical thinking. I think Chandler contradicts this theory because he lacks logical problem solving, showing that emotional factors impact cognition. One prime example of this for Chandler is that he absolutely hated his job. He hated what he did for work, but he stayed there. He was always there, never missed a day, always showed up, but he hated it. Social class and family dynamics. He was upper middle class upbringing, privileged education and job access, social stigma around his father's identity, and emphasis on image over connection. So, Chandler had financial privilege but lacked the emotional support from his parents. His father's public persona created confusion and discomfort for Chandler socially, and I don't think until like when he's getting married, or when he proposed to Monica and they're planning their wedding, I think that's like the very first time that he sees his father after everything that he had gone through. Impact of unhealthy attachment. He used the avoidant attachment style, his fear of abandonment and rejection, and he really self-sabotaged relationships. So Chandler's childhood experiences, in my opinion, really shaped a fear to intimacy. He pushed people away just to avoid getting hurt. I think before he got really serious with Monica, he would try to push her away by saying like, oh, you can go on a date. I think in one episode, a doctor asked her out on a date and she was like, well, should I do it? And it's when they were seeing each other, but they weren't very like, let's put a label on it. He was like, yeah, like, you do you. And I think he kind of realized, oh, I'm telling her to do this when I really want her to do this. And by the end of the episode, he was like, okay, I want to be the one for you. How he overcomes it. He builds emotional trust with Monica, learns vulnerability in friendships, and I think Monica really played a vital role in Chandler's healing. He wasn't very, well, they started off as just like something casual, and neither one of them thought that they would fall in love with each other. And I think out of all the couples in Friends, they are my favorite because they went through so much, and I think in the end it was all worth it. Strong friendships as growth. He had a really, really deep bond with Joey. He did with the others, but I think his closest bond was with Joey besides Monica. So despite his emotional struggles, Chandler excelled in his friendships. His loyalty and growth within his friend group really highlighted his capacity for healthy relationships. I feel like he was, besides Joey, he was there for everyone. You know, when anybody needed a shoulder to cry on, he was there for them. Could he be more ready for love and life? I think that's one of my favorite little lines that he says. But Chandler's development reflects real psychological theories, shows how trauma impacts adult behavior, demonstrates personal growth and resilience. Relationships, especially with Monica and friends, become healing tools. So to me, Chandler Bing is more than just a comic relief. I feel like he's a great example of how childhood experiences influence adult behavior. Through Erikson's lens, we see his journey from isolation to intimacy, and through Piaget, we explored his emotional barriers to mature thinking. And despite his dysfunctional upbringing, Chandler really learned to build trust, love, and he found purpose.